You were still sitting beside his lifeless body, unable to move, unable to breathe in a world that no longer held him. Hours had passed since the gunshot, but the ringing in your ears hadn't faded, just like the ache in your chest that burned hotter with every shallow breath. His blood had long soaked into the floor, warm at first, now cold and sticky against your skin where you had held him, refusing to let go even as the light left his eyes. His face was pale, yet the tear streaks glistened across his cheeks, as though the war he fought within himself had followed him into death. Your fingers traced the dried line of salt water down his jaw, trembling, broken, but desperate to hold on to even the finest trace of him. He never knew the life inside you, his child, the only piece of him that would remain. That truth sat heavy on your chest, a silent scream you could never give him now, and now the weight of it tore your heart in ways no bullet ever could. Your body was exhausted and drained from endless sobbings until no tears would come, but still you couldn't leave him. The world around you had dimmed. The mansion, once roaring with power, was now nothing but quiet walls watching you grieve. You kept your forehead pressed to his, the metallic scent of blood thick in the air, and whispered words you wished he had heard when he was still alive. Promises, apologies, confessions, all spilling into the silence where his heartbeat used to be. The floor beneath you was cold, but your womb carried warmth, a fragile flicker of life he would never hold, never even know existed. And as you sat there, trembling in grief, you realized this was the cruelest punishment fate could give to love a man who never believed he was worthy of love and to carry the only proof of his humanity within you when he could no longer be there to see it. Cut. Perfect. That's a wrap. The director's voice echoed through the set, breaking the tense silence that still lingered from the emotional scene. The entire crew broke into applause, some even whistling in appreciation. The atmosphere shifted instantly from tragic intensity to celebrity cheer. Jungkook, still laying on the floor with fake blood smeared across his temple, blinked against the studio lights. He slowly sat up, removing the prop gun from his hand and wiping the stickily red liquid from his cheek. His dark eyes flickered towards you. For a fleeting second, you thought you saw softness in them, an acknowledgement of the heavy moment you both had just created on screen. But it vanished as quickly as it came. He turned his face away sharply, jaw tightening. Instead of returning your faint smile, he gave you a sharp glare, cold and cutting like a wall between you both. You quickly looked down, trying to suppress the laugh bubbling in your chest. Why is he glaring? You thought, biting your lip. We just finished that heartbreaking scene and he still has the audacity to look this annoyed. The director clapped his hands together once more, drawing everyone's attention. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the final shot for Mafia Stepfather Obsession. Congratulations to everyone, especially our leads, Jungkook and Ryan, for giving us something unforgettable. You two carried this drama to another level. Thank you for your hard work. The room filled with more cheers, hand clapping, cameras flashing for the behind the scenes war wrap up. Crew members hugged each other, some wiping tears, others laughing. You both politely murmuring thank yous, though your gaze inevitably followed Jungkook. He was already walking off towards his vanity van, his broad shoulders stiff, his expression unreadable. He didn't wait around for anyone, didn't even acknowledge the claps, the crews passed on his back, or the director's words. He simply slipped out of the set like a ghost. You let out a long sigh, pressing your hand against your chest. Why is he like this, even on the last day? Your PA and makeup artist Sarah came to your side with a mischievous grin, holding your touch up kit in one hand. You know, it still seems like he's angry with you. You shot her a look and showed her shoulder lightly, pretending to be annoyed. Shut up, Sarah. She chuckled, covering her mouth dramatically. I mean, it's obvious. The man just glared at you instead of smiling. And come on, anyone else would have at least laughed after such an intense scene. But him, ice cold, as always. You roll your eyes, exhaling sharply. He is always like that, but not with me. It's nothing new. Oh, says the one who keeps watching him out of the corner of her eyes. She gasps mockingly. You roll your eyes, flustered. I was not watching him. Please, if you stared any harder, I would have to start charging rent. You covered her mouth with your hand playfully, both of you laughing softly, but when you lowered your hand, your gaze drifted once again towards the direction Jungkook had gone. Your laughter faded into a sigh. Still, I wish he would at least talk to me properly today, just once. You whispered softly, almost to yourself. Sarah tilted her head, her playfully expression softening. Maybe you should be the one to talk first. Don't let the last day end with this tension. Who knows when you will work together again? You swallowed hard at her words. She was right. If you didn't say anything now, you might regret it. You are right. I'll talk to him. That's enough. It's been 2 weeks already. You said being determined. Sarah smiled knowingly. Good. Go knock some sense into him, or at least make him stop glaring at you like you owe him money. You gave her another playful shove before gathering your courage and walking towards Jungkook's vanity van. Each step made your heart beat louder. Crew members brushed past you, congratulating each other, but you hardly heard them. Your focus was entirely on that one closed door at the end of the hallway. You paused outside it, staring at the simple white star with Jeon Jungkook, lead actor, printed neatly on the placard. You entered the vanity van, closing the door softly behind you. The faint hum of the AC filled the silence, blending with the distant sound from outside the set. The space smelled of faint cologne and makeup powder, instantly grounding you in the familiarity of his presence. There he was sitting in front of the wide mirror, shoulder relaxed, scrolling lazily through his phone as if he had nothing to do with the storm of emotions that had just passed on set. His reflection caught sight of you before he turned his head, and even though his expression was unreadable, you still walked towards him with the kind of instinct you had developed only after years of marriage, knowing that even if he pretended to be distant, his heart was never really far from you. After washing your face and fixing your hair a little, you padded silently towards him, your lips curving into a soft smile. Wrapping your arms around his shoulders from behind, you pressed your cheeks against his temple before placing a string of light kisses across his cheek. He didn't react at first, and that made you pout deeper, your lips grazing his skin as you whispered in the softest tone, Are you still angry? Tell me, and if you are, then don't be, because today was the last day of shoot. No more of that awkwardness. No more of those forced lines. It's done. He slowly set his phone down on the vanity table, his gaze lifting towards your reflection in the mirror. He studied the pout on your lips, the exaggerated way your brows pulled together, and those pleading puppy eyes you always used when you wanted to break his wall. His lips twitched like he was fighting a smile, but he tried his best to keep his seriousness. You know what bothers me? He began, turning slightly in his chair so he could half face you. I have done every single troop with you, every single one. CEO and secretary, mafia boss and Mafia boss and innocent girl, enemies to lovers, professor and student, everything. And I did it gladly because it was with you. But this stepfather, stepdaughter nonsense, his eyes narrowed as he pointed a finger at you with mock accusation. It was awkward as hell calling my own wife a stepdaughter. Do you realize how wrong that sounded? And you, Mrs. John? He leaned back and crossed his arm, his voice tinged with playful annoyance. You literally forced me to do this troop. You knew how much I hated the idea, but still you handed me the script and gave me no escape. You gasped dramatically, pulling away from his shoulders only to lean forward and rest your chin on the top of his head like an innocent child. Forced you? Who forced you? Who's the writer of this drama? You teased tracing invisible circles on his shoulder with your fingers. If you are the writer, then why are you throwing tantrums now? You are acting like some rookie actor who can't handle his role. He turned his head sharply, his eyes locking with yours in the mirror, and with a smirk that made your heart skip, he said, "Yes, I'm the writer, but let me make one thing very clear. I never wanted you and me in this particular drama. I wrote it with someone else in mind. You are the one who barged in, waving your puppy eyes, and made me agree. And now," he let out a deep breath, looking almost exasperated, though his tone softened as he continued. "Do you know how many times I cringed today while saying those lines? Stepdaughter. Do you know what that implies?" His voice dipped, lowering his gaze more serious now as he added, "That troop literally forced the stepfather on the stepdaughter, and I looked at you during the scene and thought, how could I ever after all these years?" He paused, his jaw tightening as if the thought itself disgusted him. Then turning to look at you fully, his eyes softened and his words carried weight. "All these years of marriage, did I ever once force you? Did I ever touch you without your yes? We have 12 kids, Ryan, 12. And every single time I asked for your consent." His voice cracked just slightly at the end, his passion betraying his calm composure. Your lips parted as a chuckle escaped you, unable to stop the laughter bubbling inside. "Oh my God," you whispered, shaking your head as you tried to stifle your giggles. "Only you could take a script this seriously and bring our whole married life into the argument." You bent down and pressed a kiss to his jaw before adding softly, "Yes, my love, you never once forced me. Not once, and you don't have to remind me. I know it better than anyone. You have always been careful with me, even when I didn't need you to be. Even when I wanted you to forget boundaries, you still asked." You kissed him again, lingering longer this time before pulling back with playful mischief in your eyes. "But admit it, you only hate the truth because you couldn't stop thinking about us while delivering those lines. It made you uncomfortable because you can't separate me from the character, and that, Mr. Writer, is your own fault. You love me too much." He exhaled heavily, his lips finally curving into the smallest chuckle. His hands reached for your wrist, gently pulling you from behind the chair until you were standing in front of him. With a swift move, he tugged you down onto his lap, one hand immediately circling your waist while the other tilted your chin up. His eyes still held a hint of mock frustration, but his smile betrayed him. "You're impossible," he murmured before pressing his lips against yours in a kiss that stayed soft but grew deeper as his fingers tightened around your waist. When he pulled away, his forehead rested against yours, his breath warm against your lips. "You know, I can never stay mad at you for long, even when you drive me insane," he chuckled against, shaking his head as though defeated. "Fine, you win. Just don't ever make me do something like this again, alright? Mafia bosses, professors, kings, whatever you want, I'll play them all, but no more stepfather." You leaned into him, resting your head against his chest, grinning smugly. "Deal," you whispered, snuggling closer as his arms wrapped around you tighter. "But you should know one thing, you look really hot when you're angry." He groaned dramatically, throwing his head back against the chair while you laughed into his shirt, and the two of you sat there, wrapped in love, playfulness, and the kind of bond that no awkward troop could ever touch. Inside the vanity van, the air was suddenly filled with laughter, chatter, and the heavy clamor of little feet rushing in. You were still catching your breath from the guest's cheeks flushed when you turned and saw 12 pairs of eyes sparkling at you and Jungkook. Each of them carried a bag, some dragging little suitcases, some clutching teddy bears or pillows, and the older ones trying to look responsible but failing miserably when their little siblings bumped into them. The sight made The sight made your heart melt instantly, but before you could say anything, one of the older boys crossed his arms and narrowed his eyes at Jungkook, his tone dramatic as he declared, "I knew he would forget." His words immediately made the others jiggle and nod in agreement, fueling the atmosphere with a playful tension that only our family could create. You shifted your gaze at Jungkook, who was blinking at them in shock as if reality had just slapped him. Slowly, his face changed, confusion shifting into realization, then into guilt, and finally into a nervous laugh that made everyone suspicious. What are you all doing here?" Jungkook asked, scratching the back of his neck, pretending to be calm, but the way his voice wavered betrayed him. You raised your brow, crossing your arms over your chest as you gave him the look you always did when he was cornered. He gulped, trying to smile at you, but one of your daughters, the one who always mirrored your sass, pointed at him and huffed. "Appa, you promised. Last week, when you were so busy with the night shoot and we couldn't see you, you said after the last day we will all go to Paris together, all 12 of us with Oma." Another chimed in, jumping up and down. "Yeah, Disneyland, Eiffel Tower, croissants. Remember?" Their little voices overlapped, filling the van with chaos. Jungkook's lips parted and he turned towards you as if begging for mercy. But you glared, sharpened, and you smirked faintly, enjoying watching him struggle. "Don't tell me you actually forgot," you said, feigning a disappointment. Jungkook gasped, placing a hand on his chest as if offended. Me? Forgot something like that? No, no, of course not." He laughed awkwardly, but the kids moved him instantly, and you couldn't hold back your laugh anymore, covering your mouth as your shoulders shook. "Appa is lying," one of the youngest shouted, pointing a tiny finger at him. Jungkook's eyes widened and he crouched down to their level, looking dramatic. "Yeah, don't betray me like this, little one. You're supposed to be on my side." But instead of sliding with him, the toddler nodded seriously and said, "Mom is scarier." That made the whole van burst into laughter, including your makeup artist who had followed them inside, covering her mouth as she giggled. Jungkook looked at you, mock offended. "Did you hear that? Even my own child know you are scarier." You shrugged, tilting your head with a mischievous glint in your eyes. "Well, at least they know who keeps the promises around here." He groaned, dragging a hand down his face while the kids clapped and cheered at your victory. Finally, with an exaggerated sigh of defeat, Jungkook raised his hands in surrender. Okay, fine. I get it. You win. We are going to Paris. Just give me 1 minute." He darted towards his dressing area, grabbing his shirt and muttering under his breath, "How could I forget this? I am so dead." The kids roared with laughter, imitating his serious tone, and you couldn't help but lean against the vanity, smiling softly at the sight of your chaotic, beautiful family. The moment felt warm and perfect. The man you once thought impossible to handle, now being teased and ganged up on by 12 children and you. The kids were all busy making fun of him, some chanting "Paris, Paris, Paris," while others started mock packing his things, dragging random items into their little bags, while both of your three elder sons are busy on their phones and laptops. You watched Jungkook rushed around in panic, trying to put on his jacket and fix his hair while simultaneously pleading with the kids to stop messing with his things. "No, no, that's my expensive colon. Put it down," he cried out as one of the boys waved it around like a sword. The twins tried to sneak into his suitcase, insisting they would fit, while another shouted, "Appa, don't be late again. You promised no more late, remember?" Jungkook sighed heavily, then peeked at you with that bunny smile breaking through despite his embarrassment. See what you did. You turned them all against me, he said dramatically, pouting. You chuckled, walking over and fixing his tie with gentle hands. They are not against you, Cook. They just want you to keep your word. And honestly, you paused, pressing your forehead to his for a brief moment, your voice soft yet playful. So do I. His eyes softening, guilt melting into affection, and he whispered, I'll make it up to you all. Paris, Disneyland, croissants, Eiffel Tower, and even extra shopping. I'll give you everything. The children cheered again, surrounding you both, and in that vanity van filled with noise, laughter, and love, you realized this was more than a vacation promise. This was a moment that sealed how complete your family truly was. Being the parents of 12 children was never something you and Jungkook imagined in your wildest dreams. Yet, when you looked at them, each one with their quirks, laughter, flaws, and unshakable love with their family, you knew your life found its true meaning. The eldest of them all was Jisung John, 22, freshly graduated from college, already stepping into Jungkook's international business empire with his father's sharp jawline and your quiet determination. Jason carried himself with authority beyond his years. He was the kind of son who could walk into a boardroom and hold his ground, speaking with calm confidence. Yet at home, he remained your boy, never forgetting to greet you with a kiss on the forehead and his father with a firm hug. He had a passion for architecture and design, sketching layouts late into the night, and the pride in Jungkook's eyes every time Jason showed his plans was enough to fill your heart with warmth. Next was Taemin John, 21, the second eldest, a gentler spirit than his older brother but no less brilliant. While Jisung bore the weight of leadership, Taemin bore the weight of empathy. He chose to manage the charity and humanitarian side of Jungkook's empire, ensuring orphanages, hospitals, and employees alike were cared for like family. In his free time, his hands were always smeared with paint, his canvas reflecting the softness of his heart. He often stayed up late helping you with chorus, whispering that with so many kids running around, someone had to spoil you too. Following him was Wan John, 20, fiery and stubborn, a perfect mix of your temper and Jungkook's passion. Still in university studying international law, Wan dreamed of defending the weak and making a name of outside his father's shadow. He loved motorcycle music and strumming his guitar, his voice so hauntingly like Jungkook's younger days that it felt you teary sometimes. Yoonho Jeon, 19, came next, the calm to Hwan's fire. Though close in age, he was the opposite in spirit, quieter, bookish, and endlessly curious. Astronomy and history fascinated him, and he dreamed of becoming a professor, guiding others with the same passions he used when tutoring his younger siblings. Your first daughter, Minji Jeon, 18, followed. She was the jewel of her father's eyes, the princess he had guarded with unrelenting protectiveness. Elegant, graceful, and ambitious, Minji dreamed of becoming a fashion designer. She often sketched dresses beside your vanity, teasing Jungkook to model them for her someday, making him laugh until his dimples showed. For him, she was his heart walking outside his body, and he never hesitated to say no. Then came Seungmin Jeon, 17, your thoughtful son with a camera always hanging around his neck. He loved freezing moments, Jungkook's rare laughter, your gentle smile, his siblings' chaos, and dreamed of becoming a filmmaker. Jungkook often said Sungmin's photos told stories words never could. After him was Kyung Jeon, 16, all energy and fire, the captain of his school's soccer team, athletic and loud. Kyung inherited his father's competitive streak, and Jungkook never missed a single game, roaring from the stands with unmatched pride. He was also the family's prankster, often turning the living room into chaos with his antics. The twins came next, Ryan Jeon, 15, and Ruwan Jeon, 15, identical in looks but different in souls. Rian lived in melodies while Rowan lived in machines. Rian often spent hours in the studio with Jungkook composing and singing, their voices blending in late night sessions. Rowan, meanwhile, was the genius tinkering with gadgets and codes, having already built voice controlled systems for the house that left Jungkook shaking his head in disbelief. Their bond was unshakable, two halves of one whole, sharpening each other constantly. Then there was Jamin John, 14, your sunshine boy, who loved animals more than anything, gentle and pure hearted. He spent hours at the shelter bringing home stray kittens and puppies until he finally convinced Jungkook to adopt a golden retriever. His compassion was unmatched, and you knew his heart was made of gold. Following him was Yoonjin Jeon, 13, sharp witted and full of curiosity, always wanting to learn something new. Something new, whether it was music, coding, or strategy games with his brothers. He was mischievous but deeply loyal to his siblings, his laughter filling the halls of your home. The second youngest was little Sora John, 12, your quiet and thoughtful daughter, often found curled up with books or sketching in her notebook. She admired Minji but had her own gentle grace, shy yet warm hearted. And then came the 12th and youngest, Hannah John, 4. She was the baby of the house, the angel who turned even the toughest heart CEO or actor into a soft hearted father. She had Jungkook wrapped entirely around her tiny fingers, from messy finger paintings on the walls to demanding piggyback rides every night. She ruled his heart completely. For you both, Hannah was proof that innocence and laughter could thrive even in the chaos of family so big. Together, these 12 children were your legacy, each one different, each one unique, each carrying piece of you and Jungkook in their smells, voices, and habits. Loving them wasn't a duty, it was your life's great gift. Jungkook often said no empire, no crown, no victory could ever compare to the noise of your household, because within that noise lived a love so vast eternity itself could never contain it.